You, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Ryder, what's up, man? I don't know you so by Ashley Nicole. What's up with you? What's up with you? Victorious Daily, here you go. Yeah, man. So, Ryan, you supposed to be tearing Charlotte up, man. You supposed to be enjoying Charlotte, cuz. So listen, I've been posting a lot these past couple of days about mixed use properties, right? And the reason why is because normally when I mention it, like I mention it in passing, you know what I'm saying? So I mentioned it in passing, right? I mentioned the things why you should buy a mixed use property in passing. Now I'm going to tell you right now. I'm gonna break down all the reasons why I feel like we should really be doing mixed use properties, even sometimes over multifamily for our first property, right? Now, when you're dealing with, so first of all, let me start by saying what a mixed use property is, right? A mixed use property is a property, like it sounds, has multiple uses. Most commonly is the property is where you have a residential and a commercial space. That's two different purposes, residential, commercial. You could also have industrial mixed use. It could be industrial and commercial, right? Which is ICMX, right? Industrial. Yo, Don, what's up, man? So industrial commercial mixed use. All right. And so with industry, that's a factory, that's maintenance, and then there's commercial component, right? Like you may have let's just say like you may have a auto manufacturer or they might make car parts in the back, but then in the front they do retail for say car parts, right? That's industrial mixed use, right? That's, oh sorry, industrial commercial mixed use, right? So there's more than one mixed use. Okay. What I've been posting recently the past couple of days, and the reason why I've been posting a lot about it this past couple of days is it's an overlooked segment in the market. And matter of fact, I'll be doing this. I'm gonna break down exactly why. But as I say it, I'm gonna put in my notes so next time I deliver it, I could deliver it better to make it easily understandable. All right, one, the reason why, so when you're using an FHA loan, right? A FHA loan does allow you to buy not only a single family property, you could actually using an FHA mortgage, you could actually go up to 4 units. Like most people just use a FHA mortgage just to buy their first house or whatever, right? But we like, no, it's more than that, right? You could buy up to 4 units. And so we always encourage people with your very first property to buy multifamily. But now I'm kind of changing it to doing mixed use, right? The reason why is if you go out and you buy a single family house as your first property, when you go back to buy that multifamily property, now you got to put down 20%, right? Now you got to put down 20% when you buy the multifamily. If you do it the other way around, that multifamily or mixed use, you could do that as owner occupied. Rent that out, cash flow it, and then when you go to buy your single family house or even 3 unit or whatever it is, you could still use that as an owner occupied property, right? Most time underwriters are going to give you a hard time to go from a single family to a multifamily. Underwriters are like, nah, bro, we don't believe you're going to live there, so you have to put down 20%. And most of the time, you're not going to live down, right? And we don't condone mortgage fraud. We want you to be honest on your application, right? So for that reason, go for that multifamily or mixed use for the first one, and then you could go to the next level, multi on the next one, because you're living in multi, you can move to another multi, and they're more likely to believe you versus if you're going from a single family to a multi, right? So that's number one. You got less money out of pocket to become an investor. That's number one. Two, less money out of your pocket on a month, right? The people that I talk to are people that either have no way or have it away and they're really trying to make it, right? The people that I want to talk to mostly are people that have lesser means or a little bit of means, or even people of means that just don't know what to do with it. Like those are people that I talk to. Like, I don't talk to people that's trying to level up and be multimillionaire moguls, right? If you want to do that, cool. But I'm the guy, I want to get you to step one or get you to step two, right? So I'll answer that question in a second. So now, when you buy that multifamily, so one thing, you actually got more buying power, right? So let's say you're making like $30,000, $40,000 a year and you're pre-approved for like 180. By having that multifamily, that other income, that 180 might go up to 250. So now that could put you in a better neighborhood, right? That might put you in a better a building that's better maintained, right? That'll just open your options all the way up versus only using your income. They'll use 60% of the rental income that's property is producing to add to your income, so you'll have a higher debt to income ratio. So instead of having been stuck at this low number, getting that multifamily, right, or mixed use is going to put you at a higher number. So then you have more buying power by buying it. That's one. That's probably two. I put it in order later. I don't even remember. Right. Another thing is, instead of your money going out just to pay household bills, like just to pay the mortgage where you live, now you have someone else doing it with the multifamily. Right. That's, once again, you can go up to 4 units, but you could also, doing mixed use, you could also buy a storefront with 3 other units above it, right? So let's think about that, right? Let's think of something simple, right? Let's say you want to do an event space, right? Let's say you want to do an event space. You could have an event space from the bottom that you run, you live in one floor, and rent the other 2 floors out. Depending on how much you buy in a building for the rent, for the most part, 1 unit is going to cover pretty close to all the mortgage, right? And if it doesn't, that second unit will probably cover all the mortgage. So now you're living for free and you have your event space, right? But with the event space, let's say if you're charging $100 an hour, and let's say you only do 3 parties a weekend, you do 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. So now you just made $1,200, but your living is free because the tenants are paying for it. So that $1,200 you made this week is actually going to your pocket, right? You do that 52 weeks a year. Now you done made $60,000, and you still got your job. You made an extra $60,000, and all you did is buy a property that you probably maybe not have thought of, right? Or start a business. And not only that, you have a higher level of success, right? They say, so most businesses fail because of the high overhead. Because you have the other tenants covering your overhead, then you can survive longer periods of drought. If your market doesn't take off initially, if your inventory can't get right, so now you have a better opportunity of surviving, right? It's one cat out in Baltimore, I forget his name, but he did the same thing. He bought a mixed use property and lived above it, and he put his restaurant on the bottom. His restaurant, he did an interview. He's making $300,000 out of the restaurant. And then I don't know how much he was making before he moved out, but you're only obligated to live there for a year, right? They only obligate you to live there for a year. Excuse me. Hold on, get some water. I got the hiccups. Right? And so now you have the 2 units that, if you do 4 units, the 2 units that cover the entire mortgage, bills, everything else is covered by those 2 units. Utilities, everything should probably be covered by those 2 units. The unit you live in, and now you got your event space from the bottom making, let's say, $1,200 a week. I don't know what they make, right? I do know you can at least get 3 parties a week. I know it. I know you can make at least $1,200 a week. I know that you can do that. That's damn near anywhere you can make $1,200 a week with not even a night, a decent event space. You can do that, right? So then what you do after that, you move out of that third unit. So now you're let's say $900 a month is the number, right? So now you got $900 a month from the building, whether you open the event space ever or not, doesn't matter. You're still profiting $900, right? And then you just go ahead down and run the event space or restaurant or hair salon, right? Let's say you wanted to do auto tags. You could do auto tags. Whatever that thing is, you have a higher likelihood of that business surviving, and you're going to have the lowest interest rate because it's FHA. And you're only putting 3% down. But even cooler, you could really buy a building with an existing business, right? Let's say someone has a clothing store. It's open. You buy the building, you take over their clothing store, right? Somebody running, I posted earlier today, a hair salon. So the hair salon is open. You could just jump right in. If you're a stylist, you could jump right in and be profitable day one because the hair salon that I posted is turnkey. You could just open, bring your clientele, and start making money, and you're living upstairs. That one has one unit, right? And then if you chose not to run the business, now you're renting that space out, right? So you're breaking even, and all your bills are paid with the other 2 units. And then you rent the first floor out, and now you charging $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 a month. So now you're getting paid to live, right? You're making $20,000 to live. Your entire life is paid for, right? And so another reason is, especially in the inner city, our commercial corridors are undervalued. The commercial corridors in the inner city are undervalued. And they're undervalued because, for the most part, the populace in that area can only support lower level businesses. That's why you only see the stop and goes, the hair salons, the nail salons, the poppy stores, like sneaker stores, phone stores. Like this, it's a reason why you only see these businesses, because the population in the area can't support a lot of other businesses. But I think people really haven't been creative enough, because there are businesses like, even funeral. I don't know who would want to live above a funeral home, but you could. Funeral homes make crazy bank. Especially at the rate both is killing each other right now. Funeral homes are making a lot of money, right? So now, you could legit buy a commercial. Listen, everybody, think about this. Especially in the inner city, when you ride in the inner city, most time, if you look up, the second and third floor of those properties are all boarded up. They're not even being used. There's just vacant units that nobody even cares to fill. They're making all their money off the first floor. So what does that tell you, right? That tell you that if you begin to make money out of that second floor, then you're already going to be profitable. If all they care about is making money on that first floor, by the time you add profits to the second floor, you're golden, right? But honestly, I don't know why all these commercial corridors, they all have the second and third floor boarded up. I don't know why they do it, but they do. It would make sense to me to get those units back, but maybe they don't feel like dealing with a tenant for a little bit of money when they have their stop and go on the first floor and make money on the first floor. I can't really say why, but the fact of the matter is that is occupiable space that is being neglected, right? And so because those Oh, hey, Jeff. Now that right there, listen, hip dog, you should have told me that. I had something crazy last month that I wanted to buy. It was a million. Yo, listen, we talk tomorrow. But no, now we talking. Now we talking. Right? So now if you get that mixed use property, then it really just there's a wealth of things that you can do versus buying that newly renovated house that looks good, right? Oh, I was talking about the values. So because the commercial corridors are neglected, there's a lot of abandonment, there's a lot of wasted space, right? There's a lot of low level stores, right? And like people the building must be cheap enough for them to afford not to have to rent it out. But right. It's something because they're neglected, right? But now and the neighborhoods are getting better, right? The neighborhoods you can now buy rehab houses for 300, 350, 400. But you could also go to commercial corridor and you could buy a building with a storefront and apartments for 130, for 120. This is all around America is the same thing. They are super neglecting or super undervaluing these mixed use properties. And my thing right here, listen, I'm a student of this guy. I'm gonna get my book. I bring this up all the time. I'm a student of this guy, right? Dr. Claude Anderson. My favorite book, Powernomics, right? The reason why I'm doing all this, right, is they say black unemployment is high because black entrepreneurship is low. If we can now begin to acquire these commercial buildings and also have live in them, then we're making money from renting the units out and we're starting more black owned businesses to get more black owned people jobs for those that want them, right? And have a viable income for their family. Are they all going to survive? Absolutely not. The majority are going to fail, but it's okay because you still own the real estate. If the business fails, you still own the real estate, right? So I'm on a mission right now to not only create black homeowners, but business owners using the FHA 203 loan to FHA loan because it's only 3.5% down. And you could also use the FHA 203K loan. So if you see an abandoned mixed use building and you want to renovate it, you could get the rehab included. You could buy a building. Think about this. Think about this. You could buy a building, right, with a business and up to 3 apartments. You could renovate it to your specs so you can get top dollar in rent, and you're going to be able to have the storefront built out to how you want it. Off at 3.5% down. It's a no-brainer. Like it's legit a no-brainer. Like it's not why like you can be super creative. You could do a doggy daycare. Listen, it's a doggy spa on 48th and Woodland. They are popping. I think I don't think it's a doggy spa. I don't know what they do. But every time I roll past that joint, it'd be 4 or 5 people outside with their dogs waiting to go in or picking their dogs up. Like a doggy daycare. They going crazy, right? And because you own a building, you can be more creative. You don't have to stress, oh my God, if we don't make this money, the business is gonna close. You don't have to worry about that because your household expense that you already got anyway is going to cover the building. Right? So what we're doing all mixed use properties like 2023, we're getting a lot of businesses started. I'm looking to partner with some people that already own businesses to do some mentorship with people that don't already have businesses that might want to do a business that might be able to get in these corridors. And then think about it, right? If let's say we identify an area, right? Let's say it's Carter Way, right? We looked at Carter Way. Carter Way has, you know, on a block of Carter Way, there's probably 100 buildings on that block, like 50-50 on each side, right? Only 40% or 50% of that block is occupied. All right, bet. So what'll happen when we come through and we grab that other 50%, right? Because humans are pack animals. Humans are pack animals. If you do your one business there, who gives a damn? But if all of a sudden, that's why malls work. All of a sudden, if we bring in all different, okay, you got a hair salon, you got a barber shop, you have your event space, you have your clothing store, you sell baby clothes, you do a hookah lounge, and you're bringing people to that area, making it more vibrant. Now everybody got more customers and everybody popping. Is that rugged individualism don't work. Building wealth is a team sport. You need a team. Whether it's workers, whether it's other people in the area, like building wealth is a team sport. So now we identify the block and we go ourselves, we're like, all right, listen, these blocks are normally dirty. Okay, what we going to do? Well, we're going to come together. We're going to make sure the block is clean. All right. If crime thrives in darkness, okay, what we'll do is everybody get LED lights to put them on top of your building and we're going to light the street up. We're gonna have block parties. We're gonna have our own Halloween block party, our own trunk or treat on our block, right? To make it more and more valuable, more and more thriving. Right? These are things we don't need any outside help to do this, and all it takes is 3.5% down. I'm just trying to figure out why more people don't do it. And what I came to is that more people don't do it because they don't know. And so I'm taking it upon myself to educate the community, because if I know and I don't tell anybody, if all I tell people is I help you buy your first home, that's all I'm going to get is people that want to buy their first home and people that want to buy rehab properties. But if I sound the alarm, I'm like, listen, we've been overlooking this asset class. We can take advantage of this asset class right here because nobody else is doing it. And then on top of that, listen, it's a fact. I was looking for an office for myself, right? This is like late 2019, early 2020, something like that. Before everything got shut down, I was looking for an office to rent for myself on a commercial corridor, right? And if you guys ever notice, most of the realtors on these commercial corridors are Asians. Right, there's Asian businesses, Asian realtors. They wouldn't even let me see these properties. Every time I wanted to at least view a property for myself, they say, oh no, it's already taken. Which wasn't true. It's still closed down, right? It's still active. You go on their website, it's still active. I was just the one. They didn't want me to even see the building as a realtor. So if I can't see the building as a realtor, then what chance does the average person have of leasing out space on these commercial corridors? Think about that. If I am a licensed professional real estate person and I cannot get access to these properties to show my client, they didn't know it's for me, they thought it's for my client. If I can't get access to these properties to show to my client, what are the odds of a layman, a person that's not in this business? What is the possibility of them able to acquire these spaces? Okay. You don't want us in there? No problem. We're just going to buy our own then. Right? The reason why we have these, as some would say, these low vibration businesses in our neighborhoods is because there's a model for them that works. So they keep doing the same thing over and over. The yellow sign Chinese store. The Koreans, listen, the Koreans, you cannot buy hair, you cannot eat breakfast, and you cannot buy a beer without seeing a Korean person. You cannot do it. Right? He cannot legally discriminate. But who's going to sue him? Right? In most of these neighborhoods in America, you cannot eat breakfast. All the breakfast spots are Korean owned. All the beer spots, you can't buy a beer without going to see the Koreans. You cannot buy your hair products. Right? You go to Rite Aid, but they're not going to have what you need. Right? They're going to have a small section. You can't buy any hair products without going to the Korean stores. Right? The yellow sign Chinese stores. Right? The Indians got Dunkin' Donuts. Right? And pay attention. Like, it's like once they learn something, they teach one another, and they all do the same thing, and they know how to get the black dollar. The Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, they got the corner stores, the Poppies, bodegas, whatever you want to call them in your town. Like, it's the same. It's the same model over and over and over again in every neighborhood, right? They are the Arab at the smoke shops now, right? No, they're not creative because they don't know what works. They don't know what service. We know what works, but we aren't the ones starting the businesses. Right? And so that's why we get the low vibration stores in the community. Like the stores with the thick plastic glass, with the terrible food, right? We're getting stuff that kills us more than helps us because the people that are serving our community don't care about it. They don't live in it. They don't like us for the most part, right? And so, but what are we doing about it? Nothing. Right? Like you are literally financing the competition for your children. What do I mean? When they come in, first generation off the boat from China, don't know no English, right? Or off the boat from South Korea, they get in grants. Then they open the businesses. Their kids are already more advanced than your kids because they don't know English. But in the next year or two, they're going to know English, and they're going to know Korean, and they're going to know Mandarin, and they're going to know Arabic, and they're going to know Spanish. They're already ahead of your kid. Right? And now you're financing their businesses, and they use your money, and they move to Bucks County, out to the suburbs, and they're sending their kids to better schools than you. Right? They're sending their kids to better schools than you, so their kids are going to be way better prepared. They're first generation American kids, and they're going to be more prepared for the world than your child that was raised in America. You've been here for 4, 5, 6 generations, and this first generation is going to be more prepared to do better in the world because you financed it. So you are literally financing your kids' competition. So what we're going to do, we're not, listen, right now is commercial corridors. I'm on it. I hope some of you guys come with me. We want to buy these buildings up. We're going to do some computer labs. Wait, you mean to tell me that you can't put a Kumar in the hood? The hood don't need math tutors? The only math tutors are downtown? The only math tutor, only wealthy kids are going to go to the math tutor? No. Kids in the hood would come to a math tutor if it was a math tutor in the hood. But that isn't the business that anybody even tries in the hood because they don't believe that people are going to put their kid in math tutoring. Right? I take my son to fencing. There's no fencing in the hood. You think black kids in the hood, listen, you think they wouldn't want to play with swords? You don't think that you could put a toy store, that kids wants to put a toy store in the hood? What are you talking? You don't think that like some of these small footprint toy stores, they just sell Legos, dolls, action figures, games, that won't survive in the hood? Who play more video games in the hood? What are you talking? Like, but they don't put any of that stuff anywhere even close. And I'm not telling you to do that either. What I'm telling you to do is you are creative. You know what's missing. You know what's not there. But you haven't figured out how to start that business. I'm telling you right now. Instead of leasing that space, buy the building. You got a better chance of surviving. Get rid of your household expense. Get rid of that rent where you at. Buy these commercial buildings with the mixed-use buildings. Use the storefront. Live upstairs. That should cover whatever rent you already been paying, but now you got your storefront. So now you can be creative. Now you can do a Lego store. Right? Now you could have a wash and fold. Right? Now you could make sandwiches. You could do whatever you want to do. With low overhead because you own a building. Don't pay $1,500 to rent the storefront. Pay $1,500 a month for the mortgage and have your tenants paying that mortgage. And your storefront is free to you. Right? And so I've never in my life seen anybody talk about buying mixed-use properties. I've never heard anybody talking about using 3.5% to buy them. I've never heard anybody talking about using a rehab loan to buy them. I've never heard it before. Listen, let me know in the chat. Has anybody ever told you that you could not only buy a storefront and 3 other apartments and live there, but you could also get the money from the bank to renovate it before you even move in? Is that something that anybody's ever told you? I don't know. You tell me. I might be beating a dead horse. Right? Everybody on here might already know, like, yeah, we've been knew that. We just chose not to. But let me know. So right now, what we're doing is we're buying these commercial corridors all across the nation. I'm in Philly, so we starting with Philly. Right, bro? You never heard it, right? Come on, man. I'm in Philly, so we starting in Philly. I definitely want to spread this message. We want to take advantage. Like, forget all that. Listen, we want to own these commercial corridors. We want to provide quality food. We want to provide quality clothing, a quality shopping experience, right? You mean to tell me, listen, and we talk about sneakers. Sneakers in Philly used to be Asian. Sneakers in Philly used to be Asian, right? The Jews took over selling sneakers in Philly. I don't know, is the Jews, is that okay to say? The Jewish people, the Israelis, I don't even know the right word to say before I get canceled. I don't even know. Right? But they are the one, they took over the sneaker stores. Most of the sneaker stores in Philly, and I know Baltimore and DC are owned by Jewish people. Sneaker stores. Even the higher end urban fashion clothes are owned by Jewish people. That's just when they find, and listen, and African Americans, bro, black people, we the only ones that if somebody want to learn our business, we like, why you want to jump in our lane? Why you want to jump in our lane? Why do you think that so many Indians own hotels and motels? Why do you think so many Indians own Dunkin' Donuts? Why do you think so many Koreans own stop and goes, hair stores, with the stop and breakfast spots? They teach each other. They work together. And Dunkin' Donuts is family owned. They all work there. And when they get enough money, they get another one. They buying whole territories and they're blocking you out. You can't buy a Dunkin' Donuts in their territory. They're buying a franchise everywhere. Right? They trying to grab me, Jeff. Next thing you know, my whole joint gonna go black. my whole life gonna go black. So, right? So it's like, yo, but when it come to us, we like, oh, why you want to do what I'm doing? I'm in my lane. Like, dog, we can all eat. It's enough money out here for everybody to eat. Like, listen, when I was in college, I met this Indian cat. Real thorough, real solid dude, really good dude, right? And his family was wealthy. His family owned a bunch of Marriotts, right? They started with a motel, and then they built it up to owning Marriotts. And when he was 20, this was in Raleigh. He went to NC State. I went to NC Central, right? When he was 20 years old, he bought a bar. He put a bar on Hillsborough Street, which for those that know North Carolina is right directly across the street from NC State University. He's 20. He owns the club and he's too young to drink in it. The liquor license was in his parents' name. Think about that. He's 20. His parents came to America with nothing. They ended up living with family, got a small motel, built that small motel up to multiple Marriotts. To the point when he turned 20, they bought him a bar directly across the street from the college he was going to. Insane. I love dude. I ain't seen dude probably like 15 years, real solid. But this is what happened, guys. This is what happened. He and his dad went to a sushi restaurant. Okay? They went to a sushi restaurant for lunch. The owner was actually an Arab guy. And they met him back there. They had a conversation. And Arab guy mentioned that he was leaving America. He was going back home. Didn't want to be here anymore. For whatever reason, he was out. So he was selling his sushi business for $500,000. What G and his dad did, they came back a week later and they bought it. They bought him a cashier's check for $500,000 for a sushi restaurant. And this was in Raleigh. That sushi restaurant made so much money. They sold the bar, never did the bar business again. And last time I checked, he had a sushi restaurant in Raleigh and Greensboro and Charlotte. Making millions off of sushi. He had 3 of them, 3 restaurants, and he's making millions of dollars. Because he had access to capital, you could do stuff like that. Now, mind you, let me tell you how big G thinks. Let me tell you how big he thinks. Let me tell you how big this man thinks. It's crazy. Because when you have access to capital and you know you could do stuff, this is how big you think, right? So I used to sell t-shirts in college, right? I used to sell, what I would do is I would drive to New York. I would buy like a bunch of dozen white and black t-shirts. Remember when the big oversized ones was out? I used to buy them from New York. I would drive them back down to North Carolina and I would sell them on my campus. Right, I would sell some wholesale, I would sell some retail, and then I had a clothing line that I started. Only lasted for like 1 semester. I made money that 1 semester though. So I was telling G what I was doing, and he wanted to invest in that business. So I was like, all right, bet. I'm gonna go to New York to buy him. He was like, why are you doing that? Why don't we just buy a container from India? He never even heard of the business. He's 20 years old talking about importing containers of white t-shirts from a different country. I couldn't even fathom that at the time. That was so foreign to me. And when I told him the profit, right, what G said to me, he said, listen, we could take that money and then what we can do is we could start a jewelry store. Because apparently one of his relatives had a jewelry store, and he was like setting up like the little kiosk in the middle of the mall with the jewelry stores. He wanted to use money from the t-shirts to start a jewelry store. And he said, he's like, yeah, we could just buy sheets of diamonds. I never even heard, what is a sheet of diamonds? He said you buy diamonds, raw diamonds by the sheet. He's 20 years old, already knowing this level of business. And he's first generation American because people like us will go to his parents' raggedy motel on the side of the road, and they made enough money to employ more of their family, and they saved enough money to buy one Marriott, to turn into multiple Marriotts, and now G is a multimillionaire selling sushi in North Carolina. With grand vision, because you have access to capital, access to ideas. If you If you have to think where your next meal is coming from, if you have to think you can't be late to work because you take the check, how are you ever going to be creative? How are you ever going to not only be creative, how are you ever even going to implement on your creative ideas if you even have them? If you check the check, how are you going to exercise your genius? But if your dad is in a position to write you a $500,000 check because you feel like you want to sell sushi versus liquor across from the college, now there's things that you can do. So we're talking about commercial property. And then, listen, oh man, King, this was when you were in Greensboro, man, my God. Oh, dog, it's the G-Ho this weekend. Dog, it's the G-Ho. Why are you on Instagram Live at 10 o'clock on a Friday night and it's the G-Ho? Come on, bro. You gotta get it together. Listen, I'm at the Central. I didn't even know that. It's the G-Ho. What are you doing? Why you on here? Right? And the thing is, guys, once you have this, listen to this, and here's the next level part, right? Once you have the G-Ho, dog, what you talking about? You in Greensboro, you on Friday night, 10 o'clock at night, it's a G-Ho, you on Instagram Live with me. You tripping, right? But at least you get some out of it, right? I appreciate you. So now, once you have this mixed-use building and you're doing commercial business, do you know how easy it is to get a commercial loan at that point? Because now you got experience running a business. You got cash flow going to your bank account. So now, when it's time for you to go to the bank to buy your next commercial building, your performer is looking a lot stronger. Now, when you want to buy that 100%, commercial building, the odds are more likely you're going to get it because now you got experience running the business. Right? So everything really runs hand in hand. Everything really runs hand in hand. And it all comes down to one decision. I'm ready to buy a house. What type of property am I going to buy? Am I going to buy a single family? Am I going to buy this duplex, this 3-unit, this 4-unit, or this mixed-use building with a commercial at the bottom and apartments up top? Could you buy a farm with 3.5%? Well, a farm you could get 100% because that's the VA loan, right? The VA loans are, I'm sorry, that's a USDA loan. USDA loan, if you be a farmer, it's 100% financing. Like legit, right? Next, if you buy a farm, all you need is closing costs. You can buy a farm with 100% down. You say, "Yeah, I want a farm." The government will give you all the money to buy a farm. If you buy operating farm, all you gotta do is pay closing costs and be able to cover the mortgage to buy a farm. I don't know the farm business, so I can't talk about that. What I do know is I got 2 mixed-use buildings. I do know that much. One of them is vacant. One of them is abandoned. I got renovated on Market Street. Right? So listen, I hope you guys got something from my rant. Thanks for listening to my rant. Is there anyone that's thinking about buying a commercial mixed-use building in the city of Philadelphia around? I will help you. If you just need information on how to do so, why to do so, again, I am going to save this live. Hopefully, I did one earlier, didn't save. Hopefully, this saves. Spread the word that it's possible to not only buy a business using 3.5% down, but you could also get the money from the bank to renovate the property. Right now, listen. Anybody got a question? I'm about to check out. So listen, no problem. You're welcome. When you're ready, holler at me. So if there's no questions, I'm gonna finish drinking my water. This bottle might turn to vodka. Who knows how I'm feeling tonight? I might feel like drinking some Tito's again like last time. I might come back on live because this is my life. I'm not going outside. I might jump back on live tonight like an hour because I'm bored. Who knows? But like I said, listen, this is me send me a DM. Please follow me. Share this out. Let people know we taking over the commercial corridors. Uh, I might put together a group to take over commercial corridors together so that we got a better chance of survival. It's hard working in groups because everybody got an opinion. So I got to be more like Fidel Castro versus Obama. But Obama always want to Obama always wanted to like be the nice guy, and no, Fidel's like, no, this is the way we doing it. This is how it got to get done. So I might be like, listen, this is what we doing. If you want to buy into it, then cool. If you don't want to buy into it, then cool. But this is how we doing it. So, but all right, I didn't see any questions, man. So I'm about to check out. But listen, all right, you definitely DM me. I appreciate y'all, and I'll be back at it. Peace.